everybody. Ron Wildman in here on Middle Georgia Spotlight. And today it's shining on Barney Hester. Barney, a legendary football coach here in Middle Georgia, and now the athletic director of the entire Bibb school system.
That's correct. I've been blessed in my athletic career. I have recently, a couple of years ago, had the opportunity to become the athletic director for the Bibb County School District and enjoyed every minute of it until 2020. 2020 has changed that a little bit.
In what way?
Just the things that we're having to go through trying to get athletics started, and but other than that, it's been a very good experience.
We're taping this program on Wednesday, and if we were on the air tonight, we'd be making big news. What would it be?
Well, the Bibb School District, as you know, 2 weeks ago, we decided that we were going to, first of all, we were going virtually school because of the spread that was in Bibb County, Macon Bibb at that time. So our superintendent felt like it was best for us to start out the school year in a virtual environment. Well, when we did that, we put a pause on athletics. We had already started volleyball and softball. Football had not started yet. Now, practices were going on, but we had not actually started those football. So we put a pause on for 2 weeks. This morning at 9 o'clock, we actually made the announcement that we are resuming athletic competition in the Bibb School District starting next week, starting with softball. We'll phase it in. Starting August 31st, we'll go softball and cross country. The next week, on September the 7th, we'll do volleyball, and then on the week of the 14th, we'll bring back football. That'll be our first games.
All right. What kind of pressure does that put on you and that group of coaches you deal with?
Well, the thing about it, we have actually been working out since June the 8th. And when our superintendent put a pause on competition, he didn't put a pause on practices. So we have continued to practice. Now probably, you know, being a teenager involved in athletics, and you find out that we're on pause and we're not going to be able to possibly be able to play football this year. So, you know, the mindset might have changed a little bit in some of the guys, but we have been continuing to practice. So our guys will be ready. I think our coaches will be ready. Softball, those girls, most of the girls that play softball have been playing it all summer long anyway with travel ball and everything else. So I think those girls will be ready to go again too.
What's the superintendent's attitude about sports?
Well, Dr. Jones is a sports guy. First of all, he is an outstanding person. I don't know if you had the opportunity to bring him in yet. If you hadn't, you need to bring him in.
Mayor Ellis has brought him in several times.
Yeah, he is a sports person, but more than that, he is a good person. I mean, I have been pleasantly pleased with our leadership in Bibb County. Dr. Jones is a West Point graduate. He played high school football at Griffin High School, where he was from what I can tell, and everybody tells me he was a great athlete. Went to West Point, played up there. He retired as a full colonel in the military with a West Point degree. He is the most organized person I've ever been around. But the thing that not said, it's probably said by a lot of people, but how he cares about the students in Bibb County and the people that work under him. He is you can tell he is, with his West Point training and his personality as a person, we're in good hands. He is interested in each one of our students individually. He can name a lot of them, more than I can actually, because we're talking about a lot of students.
Does that spread down to the staff?
Oh, absolutely, it does. It does. He is very much hands-on with staff. We're constantly in his presence, whether virtually or in meetings or whatever the case may be. But yes.
How do you get together with the coaches? You've got a lot of people that in your department, in fact, coaches, assistant coaches, and such. How do you organize them? What do you do?
Well, this year's a lot different now because everything is virtual. You know, we're using Microsoft Teams for our meetings. We meet once a week, and I meet with my ADs. Each school has an athletic director. Each one of the high schools have athletic directors. Our middle schools have athletic coordinators. So we have someone in charge at each school. So I meet with them virtually now. In the past, we meet in person, but I tell you, we find out new things as we get older that you can accomplish a whole lot by staying in your office and keeping them in their office and meeting virtually. Where in the past we would, either meet someone at some school, everybody would drive there, or everybody would drive downtown to my office and meet. So that's been a good thing. But we have stayed in touch all summer long.
Now, what are you telling them about protections to take with this virus?
Well, we started out with protocol, Bibb County, and Georgia High School came out with some protocol that was based on some of the things that CDC and the North Health Department had come out with. But we came out with more. We actually, our protocol this summer workouts, first thing we do is take temperatures before their rides leave. When they bring them in, we're taking temperatures.
What's that indication of, the temperature?
Well, it is a possibility of someone being sick.
Possibility.
Period. Right. And temperature is not the best thing. I think probably the asking the questions are probably better if you've been around somebody with COVID-19 or if you feel sick or all that kind of stuff. Probably is a better indicator than actually temperature. But we take temperatures before we allow them to come in. We started out with groups of 20 this summer in the weight room. We would have 20 in the weight room. They would have masks on, temperature checks, questions been asked. We'll have masks on. We're sanitizing the weight room. We actually, between each lift, when you're touching the barbell, when you're lifting weights, the next guy's got to get it. So we were sanitizing the bar between each lifter. We were sanitizing the whole weight room between the next group coming in. When that group left, they went down to the field, did some conditioning, and before the next group could come on campus, that group had to leave. So we didn't want any crossover of groups, just trying to eliminate the possibility of a spread among our teams. Then Georgia High School allows us to have 25. So then we did the same thing with 25 people. The next step up after our dead week, which was the week of July 4th, they allowed us to have 50. And then after that week, they allowed us to put helmets on and we could have our whole teams out there. So we've been working out since June 8th with football in particular, and then softball and volleyball and cross country started the week of after the dead week of July.
I'm more familiar with the football part of it,
Right.
as you are, sure.
Right.
But I've always admired these young people in those middle Georgia temperatures, getting out there before the season. You'd have to have respect for these kids.
You do, and the thing is, Ron, the emphasis the past couple of years, and which it needed to be, but emphasis was on temperature, making sure that the guys stayed hydrated and those things, and also head injuries. I mean, we were having young people in the state of Georgia dying from heat and from head injuries. So the emphasis from Georgia High School and National Federation has been on those things. So now, just because COVID has come along, we can't take our eye off of heat-related injuries or heat-related illnesses and head injuries. So, but yeah, that's a tough thing. You practice after school. You're talking about 3 o'clock practice at high school in Bibb County, and you know what the temperature is like in the middle of the summer in Bibb County.
Well, how about the turnout of young people participating in sports? Is it still strong or weak or what?
Well, it's been a little bit different for us this year. Now, football has been pretty good. The numbers have been good. We're averaging, most of our teams have about 50 to 60 guys out. We have one team with about 75, 80 guys out. So our numbers have been really good, considering we're not in school. Getting back and forth, parents getting them back and forth to practice and those kinds of things. So the numbers have been good. Now the softball numbers have gone down over the past couple of years.
These are the young ladies.
That's right. Softball numbers have gone down. Volleyball numbers are steady. Trying to play softball that time of year in heat is tough also. And when you got a choice of playing softball or going in an air-conditioned gym and playing volleyball, sometimes you choose to go play volleyball. But
where did all this athletics start in your life? Where was the first indication that you were going to make that a life's mission?
Well, it started. Matter of fact, I'm from Lawrence County. I grew up about a mile from East Lawrence High School. My dad was a farmer and had a little country store, but he also drove a school bus. And my mom was actually the dietitian in the lunchroom. So I was brought up right around the school.
I've covered games down there at East
Oh
Lawrence.
yeah, oh yeah. And my dad actually drove the bus for all the athletic competitions, basketball, football, or whatever. So I grew up around coaches. I grew up around my dad being involved, driving the buses to the games, in which he took a lot of pride in. And I grew up just right beside the football field, basically. So I knew that. Of course, I played, and I knew I was going to play, but just I guess it got in my blood at an early age, and I was always around it, and so coaching was part of something I thought I might want to do.
You say you played. What position were you mostly?
Well, I started out as in middle school. I was a quarterback. I went from quarterback to center my freshman year in high school. Played center for 3 years. Played linebacker. I played on both sides of the ball. And then my senior year, I played tight end and linebacker. So I've kind of seen it all.
After high school, where'd you go?
I did not play college football. I went to Georgia Southern as a student. And when Georgia Southern started back up, when Coach Russell started the program up, I was on the first staff down at Georgia Southern. I coached wide receivers at Georgia Southern the first year we had football down there.
What's it like under a coach?
Well, you got to understand, he's one of those guys that, he doesn't ask you to do things. You just do them because it's kind of like Colonel Jones in Bibb County. You do them because you want to do them because
and it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, it's the right thing, but you do them because you want to do them right for the person that you respect. And he had that respect from all the coaches, and he was. We were starting a program down there from scratch. Well, he had just won a national championship.
One day, the announcement was he's coming. He had a football, and that's the only thing that program had. Well, you were there.
Well, actually, he didn't have a football. They went to Walmart or Kmart or whatever was down there and bought a football. They didn't have a football for him to use that day. But yeah, I was part of that program. We started out with walk-ons, no scholarship players. That first year, we only played our schedule consisted of we did an inter-squad game up at Shamrock Bowl in Dublin, a blue-white game. We played the Jacksonville Doughboys, which was a police force out of Jacksonville that had a football team. No, I'll take it back. It was Jacksonville Magnum Force. We played the Fort Benning Doughboys, which was a football team over at Fort Benning made up of military. Matter of fact, the quarterback for that team was a guy by the name of Lehman Hall. Lehman Hall had played quarterback for West Point.
Yes.
Yeah, he was quarterback for that team. And we played, we played one other school. We started out with Florida State's junior varsity. And on that team was one of Jack Nicholson's sons that played on the Florida State junior varsity football team. But that was our first game. And that's the schedule we had the first year. We played a schedule. We had a lot of guys who had been at the University of Georgia with Coach Russell. Some of the guys that just played on that and won a national championship at Georgia. Some of those guys had come down, and some of the other guys who had been part of programs at Georgia. And how I got part of that staff, I'm not sure, but let me tell you something. It wasn't like we were making any money, because we were not. We got free meals at Snooki's, which was a local restaurant down there.
Were you still a student at that time?
I was still a student at that time. We were. I was a student assistant, but we were all students at that time. Everybody was finishing their degrees. So we had an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator that were paid employees. All the rest of us got free meals or free shirts, and we got free books. We did get free books and tuition paid for, so that was a good thing.
How long were you with Coach Russell?
I was there 1 year. And the job came open at Tatnall, and I had some people that I knew at Tatnall that called me and said, Barney, the job has come open at Tatnall, and we'd like for you to come up and talk to us. So I went in and talked to Coach Russell about it, and he said, Barney, you got to always go listen. When people want to talk to you, you got to always go listen. I said, Coach, I love being here, and I love what we're doing. He said, yeah. He said, and we love you being here, but you got to always go listen. So I came up and interviewed at Tatnall, and didn't hear anything from them for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I thought it was of course they might have offered it to 2 or 3 people. They turned them down. They never told me that, but anyway, I didn't hear from them, and eventually they called me back and said that the job was mine. So then I had to go in and tell Coach Russell that I was going to leave and go up and take that job. And my thoughts were at that time that these guys down here are going to be going all over the country, and they did. I mean, our offensive coordinator went out to San Jose State and ended up at Arizona. Our defensive coordinator went different places. Our offensive line coach, Hugh Nall, who actually ended up at TC. He started out at TCU and ended up at Auburn as offensive coordinator. Those guys just went everywhere. Paul Johnson had just come in down there, and so I figured, well, I'll go up to Macon and stay a couple of years and catch on with one of those guys somewhere around the country. But I came to Macon and I fell in love with the city. I fell in love with what we were doing and what we were trying to accomplish, and here I am still here.
What was the status of the Tatnall program when you came?
Well, it had gone through some struggles. It had. I think they had won like 2 or 3 games in 3 years. It had gone through some struggles.
So you were there 31 years?
31 years, yeah, 31 years.
And it became one of the premier programs in the state of Georgia.
Well, we were blessed. I had a great guy, Walter Welch, who was the headmaster at the school
Welch.
At that time. Just a great guy that just had your back, and of course, again, if you respect people you're working for, you're going to do things to make them look good, or try to anyway. Do your best to. And he was one of those guys that you respected and you were going to make look good. And of course, they gave me opportunities, and we won 6 football games that first year, and it was like, not like winning a state championship. We did that a little bit later, but it was great having a winning season. And in 3 years we went undefeated, won a region championship, first one in school history, and got beat out in the semifinals of state. The next year we went back to the semifinals and got beat out. But it was not until 1988 when we built a stadium out there. We didn't have a stadium until '88. The first year we had a stadium, we won a state championship. And then we won about 3 of them in a row. We won it '88, '89, and '90. And we were blessed to win a few more before we left.
You had some great youngsters come through that program.
Had some great players. We did. Again, I was very blessed to be part of that program, and we had some outstanding athletes come through.
You also served a while as headmaster out there.
I did. I was head of school when Mr. Welch left. I was at that time the assistant headmaster, and of course Mr. Welch was doing all the work, and I was entitled to assistant headmaster and had some duties. And the board asked me at that time if I would stay on as an interim as head of school until they found somebody. Well, 11 years later, I was still the head.
And you coached all that time.
I did. I told them when they first asked me, I said I will, but I want to continue coaching. And I was very blessed to have some really good people, assistant principals that took care of the high school, and or high school principals, elementary principals that took care of those things, and we would meet and we would try to get to school, and we did. We had some really good years.
Now, after 31 years, you moved over to Howard High. How did that work out, or what was the reason for that?
Well, 31 years is a long time anywhere. I mean, it was just a long. It was time. It was time to move on. It was time for me to move on. It was time for Tatnall to bring in some younger guys to hopefully stay another 31 years and keep that program where it was.
They got a good staff over there.
They do. They have an outstanding staff. John Hankinson, who I hired as a coach way back when, is the head of school over there now, doing a tremendous job. But I had opportunity to when the Howard job came open. I'd had conversation with the principal at Howard prior to it coming open this time, the time before.
That was a brand new school.
It was, and I'd had conversation with him, and when it came open, we had a acquaintance that we both knew, and he happened to be in his office one day over there, and he said, "Do you think Barney would be interested in the job?" Now, he didn't get it the last time, and he said, "You think he'd still be interested?" He said, "I don't know. I'll call him." So they called me, and I knew it was time. I had opportunities at other places to go and coach, but Macon was my home. My family was here. We were in school, but it was time. It was my family. My children were out of high school at that time, and it was time to do something else, a new challenge. And so we went to Howard.
You started at 0 over there, didn't you?
Ooh, I tell you, Howard was a tough situation at the time. We had some great kids though, and you know, I could have practiced those guys 5 hours a day, and they'd be there and wouldn't complain a bit. That was not the case. The one thing I found out, the difference that I found out was, the kids didn't necessarily understand the game. They you know, they played the Xbox game. They watched pro football, but they didn't necessarily understand the high school game. So we had to start from, kind of like Coach Russell did when you showed that football out there. You start here and you build. So we actually, our first ball game, we went down to East Lawrence, where I had started my career as a student, and we played East Lawrence, and we won. And that was the first time they had won in a while, in about 3 years, I think, 2 or 3 years. And it was like winning a state championship.
That affected a lot of people. It affected me watching that score that night on TV.
Yeah.
I just felt so happy for you.
Well, I was happy for those kids, because those kids were crying. Those parents were excited. You know, when you've gone through that drought of not winning and you have that opportunity to feel victory, that was a great thing for those students that we had there.
Proving something to them.
It was certainly possible. You work hard and you do the right things, you can win. Now we didn't. You know, the next week we won our second game, and the third game of the year we were actually in a position to win, and we lost. And after that, the season kind of went down a little bit. But we were making strides, and we kept getting better and better and better. And when I left, Paul Carroll, who took over the Howard job, has just taken it to another level. He's doing an outstanding job there.
Now, speaking of these individual schools, we're not known as a football town these days. Used to be, we were. What's your goal?
Well, we're trying to make football relevant, and I think we have. We have done a really good job. First of all, getting good people running our programs. We have great coaches and athletic directors in Bibb County at the schools. I mean, you talk Joe Dupree. Joe Dupree is a Southwest graduate.
Remember Joe?
Joe, you know, had an outstanding career at Southwest. Went to Georgia, ended up down at Georgia Southern, and just a class guy. We got Eddie Ashley, who was AD before I took the job. Got Joe back in Bibb County and put him at Southwest where he needs to be. We got Spoon Risper out at Westside, who's been there from the time the program started. He started with Robert Davis when the program started at Westside as an assistant. Does a tremendous job. Paul Carroll we brought in from Warner Robins. He had been the defensive coordinator at Warner Robins, been there for several years, worked with me a year at Howard, then took over the Howard program. We got Jeremy Wiggins, who was a graduate of Northeast, who went up and played at App State, was just an outstanding player at App State, is running the program at Northeast. We got Coach Sample at Central, who was a Central guy. He's running the program at Central. We brought in coach from Griffin, who had won a state championship up there as an assistant coach. Rusty, my mind's slipping me here, but Rusty is the defensive coordinator at, and I'll think of it in a minute. That happens to you when you get a little bit older, when you got so many people. But
you got a lot of names.
Well, we do, but Rusty's done a great job at Rutland getting the guys back out, you know, that program's only going to get better and better. But we got great men working with our student athletes in football. So football is going to be relevant again in Bibb County. It's going to happen. We got to get through this phase now where we push back a little bit and with start of football and everything with COVID-19, but it's going to be relevant. And you mentioned basketball. You know, last year the Southwest girls played for a state championship. We have a lot of tradition with basketball. With Northeast and Southwest and Central and West, all of them have been to those situations with state championships and had opportunities to win state championships, and they're only going to get better.
Anybody's ever been in some of those matchups here in Bibb County, it's just like college. I mean, big time.
Ron, it's Rusty Easom at. I knew it would come to me. Rusty Easom at Rutland is the football coach and athletic director, and I apologize, Rusty. I know your name; it just slipped. But anyway, yeah, you know, with those sports, we're only going to get better. You know, the thing that we're dealing with right now, with the COVID-19 and how we'll start back athletics, we won't start back with the numbers in gyms that we had in the past, or at football stadiums. We're going to social distance. We're marking the stadiums and the gyms off for social distance.
Are we going to have some crowds or some people?
We'll have some, hopefully. Now, you know, the game is for the young people. The game is for the students. We want spectators there because we need the support of those people, and those parents want to be there to watch their children play. We want that to happen. But the game is for the children. When we have a football game, we're going to mask up. You're going to have to wear a mask. You're going to be social distance. We're going to have it marked off. We're going to encourage you to. We're going to have hand sanitizer there for you to use. We're going to encourage you to do all the things to keep that virus away from our young people and from the people in the stands.
As a fan of local football or basketball or any of these sports, should we check with the school about what the rules would be about coming to these games?
Yeah, we will have that. We will have all that posted. We will do a good job of getting that out. The schools will know, but we will know from the district too. It will be on the district website, and we're going to pre-sale tickets. If we can only have 1,800 people in a football game, we can't sell but 1,800 tickets. So we're going to use a GoFan app to sell pre-sale tickets.
You like to do it through the computer.
That's right. When you get there, you're gonna have your ticket. We'll validate your ticket, and you'll walk in. We'll do cashless admissions, and same thing with gyms. But the problem, we're getting back to what you were talking about with the crowds and all the basketball. You know, we're talking about possibly if we're social distancing in a gym. I mean, you're gonna limit to maybe 100, 150 people in a gym watching a game.
That's not good.
That's not good at all. We usually have 100 people waiting outside.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting outside for people to leave to get in a gym to watch a basketball game. So we're going to have to do some things with streaming video and that kind of stuff, and to make sure we can get our students out in front of the fans and the spectators in Bibb County. But social distancing is going to be a big deal, and it's going to be expected, but it's going to be required.
Is there any possibility of shutting the season down, or do you have?
Well, it's a fluid situation. I mean, it is. I mean, you know, we have guidelines in place. If we have a student that has COVID-19, of course, we'll follow CDC guidelines, Department of Public Health guidelines, Bibb County guidelines. You know, they'll have to go, and it'll be 10 days. They got to be tested before they can come back. Then everybody that student came in contact with will be in quarantine for 14 days. That's a 14-day period. On the 10th day, we'll want them to get retested or tested, and if they're good, on the 14th day they can come back. Now that may affect, in football, that may affect the whole team.
Yeah.
I mean, and Georgia High School understands that. They understand there's probably going to be weeks where we can't play or a team can't play because everybody's in COVID-19 quarantine.
It's called learning to live with this stuff, and we're going to have to learn to live with it for a while.
We are.
Coach Hester, thank you. Thank you very much for being with us on Middle Georgia Spotlight.
Thank you, Ron. It's great seeing you again. Great having an opportunity to have a conversation. I've thought a lot of you over the years and your family, and it was great being here.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, folks. I'm Ron Wildman, WMUB TV.